Hello, Steve White, SteveArts89 here. We've got a little bit of news about Season 3 of Discovery. Not much, but a little bit. Now, mostly it comes from Doug Jones. Now, we already knew a few things about Season 3. They're going to have a new character called Cleveland Booker, played by David Jalla. And apparently this character is going to be not what we expect, and he's going to break all the rules, and it seems to be the sort of Star Trek Discovery vein where it's like, don't think, just sit back and be shocked and surprised by twists and turns, and just watch the mystery box for like the shocks and twists. So I'm not really optimistic. And what we got from that though, which I found kind of comforting, was the idea that Michael is stranded and that they haven't reappeared in the future where they thought they were going to be, and they might even be separated, and that she might have trouble getting back to them. And therefore I was hoping we'd get, because they went forward 930 years into the future, to get away from the old Star Trek timeline and the canon and all that, so they could just go into the future where there is no canon. They can do whatever they want, and they don't have to worry about breaking anything. So I was sort of hoping they would just be lost in space and be like Voyager, where they're just in a different section of space they don't know about, different timeline. There's nothing to draw them to the past, and they can just do whatever they want and just have random fun adventures, enough to worry about canon or having to remake anything or redo anything or update anything or improve anything, as they would put it. I'm not a Discovery fan. But what Doug Jones said in his interview was that it sounds like they do encounter the Federation, that they do end up in the future and go to Earth, or at least encounter the Federation, which I guess has had advanced pretty far, so they wouldn't have to. They could go further out into space and still encounter the Federation. So we're going to see the Federation as it is in the 31st century, which is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be so unrelatable and hard to depict realistically humanity's future and the evolution of humans within the Discovery themes and setting and time frame and all the stuff that they've sort of done. So I don't like the idea of them doing that. I was really okay with them just being lost in time and space and doing whatever. I actually thought that would actually work out. But from the sounds of it, and I may as well just read the interview. They talk about how everyone's sort of focused on Picard, but sort of forgetting about Star Trek Discovery Season 3, and how the massive jump really could lead to a very shocking and exciting new season. Doug Jones is definitely excited about it, and he explained that the story will really get moving when the adventure returns. Lots of answers are coming, including answers that will update the standing on Discovery. The story is unfolding, this quote from Doug Jones, the story is unfolding in a rapid pace. Season 3 is going to blow you away. We jumped into the future at the end of Season 2. This was a big deal. We're boldly going where no Star Trek series has gone before. We started before the original series, now we've jumped to way after Voyager. So we're going to see what happens in the future. What condition the Federation is in, we don't know yet. We're going to find that out when we land. What happens to me and my rank? I'm a commander, but I'm also an acting captain because the ship lost its captains. I take the ship, and so do I get to keep the captain's chair? Do I have to give it away to another Federation Starfleet captain in the future? We're going to find all that out when we get there. Now, clearly, they are archaic. They are 900 years out of date with technology and everything. They cannot be a Federation ship. They cannot serve. That the effort it would take for them to adjust and assimilate into the future, it's just never going to happen. There's no way they're just going to let this rogue ship from the 22nd century just waffle around in their universe and in their politics and cause trouble. So the idea that Discovery is just going to go on as it was in the 31st century is ridiculous. And if they do that, where they just say, oh, you guys are so amazing, you survived from all that time ago, hey, just go out and do your thing, it's not going to happen. And if it does, it's going to be ridiculous. So they're probably going to have a a combative Federation that's going to try and take the ship. And I'm sure they will depict the Federation as some broken, dystopian, disturbed, damaged, negative thing that they have to fix and save. There's no way they're going to let us have Gene Roddenberry's future, which is optimistic and beautiful and full of evolution and hope and somewhere we'd want to be. They're going to have to make it into a dirty, darker version of today in the future, and it'll be broken down. And the only hope may be that they may do all that just so that the crew can save it. And if they do that and it ends up being that future again, it's kind of, at least it fixes its own mess. But I need Star Trek to be a bright future to look forward to, somewhere I want to be, people I want to look up to. The original Star Trek characters were so evolved, particularly with Next Gen. They were like superheroes you could admire. And from Deep Space Nine on, they felt they had to bring them down to our level and make them more relatable. I don't want Superman to be relatable. I don't want Captain Kirk to be relatable on that level. I want to aspire to Jean-Luc Picard. I don't want to feel like he's just as messed up as me. And that was the problem with Next Gen and Deep Space, where they were trying to make it too contemporary drama, not as science fiction fantasy as Gene set it up as. And Discovery just, because the movies did that a bit as well, trying to make it all action and violence, and the Federation is just a dark and boring place, and it's only exciting when someone's attacking us, we're at war or something, which was the message Beyond gave, sadly enough. And I can see Discovery, they just continue that on and double down on it and went even harder with it. So that's what I'm afraid of in the future, that they're going to depict the future, they're going to destroy our future in this. I was hoping they would just avoid it, because that's the smart move. Let's just get lost in time and space. We don't have to worry about any connections. We can do whatever we want. Just deal with aliens. We've got our own. We're just maintaining our own ideals of the Federation, which we can rattle on about to show we actually know what the Federation is made of. Much like Voyager did. I thought it'd be more like Voyager, and it sounds like they just. I just smell disaster so much more than before. I was really optimistic. I thought, oh, they've written themselves into a nice little spot where they can do whatever they want. It doesn't affect anything. They're free to do whatever they want. And now it looks like they're just dragging it back. And I'm thinking they're probably even going to go back to the timeline again eventually. That this won't be where the show ends. So I thought they'd get them lost and they'd stay lost. But they're probably just going to bring them back to Earth eventually and into the old timeline and undo everything they did by taking them out of the timeline in season 3. Because that would piss us off and upset us, and there'd be a lot of internet traffic with people complaining about the show, because all these high numbers the show's getting for people talking about it, none of it's positive. It's not fans saying, oh, I love the show, I want to see it. It's people like me saying this is a horrible show. It spits in the face of Gene's philosophy and the show and the original show, and destroys our dreams for the future, because it's destroying the fictional future in Star Trek. And a lot of people feel like that, and you may think, oh, what a hysterical person. No, a lot of people feel like this, and it means something to them. It's a philosophy, and it's an ideal, and when you mess with that, it upsets people because it means something to them. And Discovery's done that, and I'm sure they're going to keep doing that. Now, the main reason for him saying that we're going to go to the future was, well, the gist of that. Sorry, my thing is closed down. Was he was talking about the command situation, and like I said, they're promising a lot happened at season 2, and several centuries have passed, so it'll be surprising to see. He sort of figures that Starfleet knew they were coming, they were prepared for them, they're going to be waiting for them, so they're not going to be just lost. They're going to be being welcomed by Starfleet and treated like heroes or taken in or something, and he probably will not be captaining the ship, and there probably will be someone from somewhere else taking over. And it's just funny because he's talking about this absolute freedom that we're all excited about. The writers especially, they adhered to canon beautifully in the timeline, which is where I lost some respect for Doug Jones, because that's just not true. They did not adhere to the canon beautifully. They struggled with it at best. They adhered to the canon beautifully in the timeline before the original series. They got us in a great transition that will go into the original series seamlessly. No, there's so many problems with it. Now we jump ahead and they can add to canon. They can make canon make a whole new chapter, and that's very exciting for all of us. And it could have been, except that instead of just making a future for the show, which is unique, they are going to redo the Star Trek canon the way they see it, and that's something very, very, very worrisome, I think. And the article just basically goes on to say he's excited about the show and talk about the new showrunner, and we sort of all know all about that, so I'm not going to go into all that. I think everyone knows all that, and there's videos, plenty of videos online about that. And the only other bit of news, I guess, was Jonathan Frakes said a while ago that they were going to be a very more optimistic show in season 3, and that the optimism that Gene Roddenberry infused in the show and its characters may not be as present or as obvious as it was in the other shows, but it's still the driving force, and that the creators are very conscious of canon and how much it means to us. And I sort of thought, my cynical mind, I sort of thought, he just wants to work again because he can't believe that. They're conscious of canon. They deliberately went against it and spat on it on purpose. They stated so many times that they didn't want to adhere to it. They wanted to break it. They wanted to go against it. They wanted to shake things up, blah, 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 blah. So to say that they were conscious of it or they handled it beautifully and they transitioned well, none of that is true. It's just not true. It's not even a matter of opinion. It's just not true. And there's whole websites and videos and groups of fans to show this is not the case. And there's an argument that they're the vocal minority, but even so, they exist for a reason, because they didn't handle it well. If they had, there wouldn't be anyone being bothered by it. They struggled with it at best. And I guess I'm just going to leave it there. That's all we know, basically. They're filming in Canada. We don't know when the show's coming out. Den of Geek has suggested the 20th of January based on the other premiere dates of the series and that, but nobody knows. So I'm just going to leave it there, and yeah, I'm very disappointed because I hope they were just going to be lost in time and space and free and not mess with any canon, and it would just be a nice show on its own, kind of like Andromeda or something. Although it's probably going to be too much like Andromeda because I think they're going to mess up the future. And we're definitely going to see the Federation, and we don't need to see their version of the Federation without any connection to the old series, just their version, Discovery's version of the Federation in the future. It's going to be an ugly thing. I'm not looking forward to it. But and I'm hoping Doug is just thinking about himself and the command issue, and it's not actually something that's happening, and they are going to keep it separate. But I don't know. We have to listen to what he said and assume he's speaking about the show that's happening, not just what he's thinking. But I'm going to leave it there because my mouth is really dry. Thanks, bye.